everybody, and welcome to another episode of Mama Bee, where today this topic is something that I battled a lot about whether or not to talk about it, even though I've been following it very closely from the first moment when it was exposed, which was about moms and parents who cheated their way for their children to get into university of their choice. And if you know me, I'm not into drama and scandal. This story, however, fascinated me from the moment that it was exposed to the media. Maybe it's because these women who were actresses who I watched and admired, there's a lot of affluent parents named on the list. Two things did it for me as to why this story was so interesting and something that I wanted to fully understand more. The value that we have for education, taking something that's so pure and so sacred and turning it into something so dirty and ugly. The other side of it was the mentality of the elitist and the people in our world who have more, the have-mores versus the have-nots, and just what that means to the rest of society who aren't born with a silver spoon in their mouths. Education is something really special. According to UNESCO, 1 in 5 children are not in school, and that amounts to about 264 million children. When you have been in a room of educated people with big thoughts and big ideas and a sense of something that is outside of themselves, they want to fix the greatest problems in the world, like gender inequality, reducing poverty, to creating a sustainable planet, to preventing needless deaths and illnesses, and fostering peace. We want peace in our world, and the way that that's going to start is by forward thinkers, by big thinkers, by people who are dedicating their life mission and purpose to making a better world for all of us. Education for me, ever since I was a little girl, it was instilled in me that it was one of the most important things that I could achieve in my life. My parents would say, people can take away everything from you, but they can't take away your education. I remember being the child of immigrant parents and seeing my parents have remedial jobs. My dad worked 6 days a week. From the moment I walked into university, it was very obvious the difference in the people who came from families of affluence and influence versus those like me whose parents were struggling to try to get by, to pay the bills. And I remember having to work any job that I could find. I remember I was working full-time during the day as an assistant in a hospital, and I was studying at night. I was working in a coffee shop. I was a female bouncer at a nightclub. I was a waitress. I was trying to get any job that I could find because at the end of my education, I didn't want to have that big lump sum to pay back. I didn't want to be owing anything. I remember feeling a little tinge of jealousy towards these other students who would come into school and they were fresh-faced and they didn't have bags under their eyes because they worked the midnight shift at the coffee shop and money wasn't an issue. Education in general and the attainment of it was not easy for me. It was just so difficult. And I think that's part of it, is that it teaches you work ethic. It teaches you to be self-motivated. It teaches you not to give up, to see the silver lining, to see the light at the end of the tunnel of everything that you've worked for. And I remember writing my final exam, my last exam. After the exam, I walked into the bathroom and I started crying, and I cried and I cried and I cried. And this other girl, this student, came in and she said, "Oh, it's okay, don't worry. You know, if you didn't do well on it, don't worry." And I said, "No, it's not that I didn't do well. I did really well. It's that this is my last and final exam and I get to graduate and I'm done. And I'm done with these books and essays and all this stuff." But it was really just that feeling of having accomplished it. I did it, and now I can hang that diploma on the wall. And it's not about that piece of paper. It's what it meant. It was the countless hours. It was the sleepless nights. It was buying the $200 textbooks and you were just looking at the price tag thinking, how on earth am I going to be able to pay for this? That was my world for a very, very long time. And education is definitely something that I teach my children the importance of, because it will not only open your mind, it'll open your heart. It will make you appreciate so much more the people who came before us, who did really great things for this world, how we can learn from them and actually make their ideas and efforts even bigger in the world. Nelson Mandela said, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world." And Francis Bacon said, "Knowledge is power." On the one point, I have sort of how I feel about this story in terms of being the daughter of immigrant parents, having struggled very much through my education, through my university years, and then the idea that there is this elitist mentality where the 1% should have control. Not even control. It's like they go to the front of the line, right? They're at the front of the line where everyone else is at the back of the line and they're waiting for the scraps. And it's such a horrible mentality to have, because unfortunately, all that breeds is more greed. And now they're even breaking the law. Sociologist C. Wright Mills said in 1956 that acts of elite deviance that cause social harm harm, regardless of their criminality in a legal sense, are part of the higher immorality of the power elite. So finally, what do I think about people cheating to get into college or university? I think it's despicable. I think it is so dishonest. I think that it puts other people who are vulnerable, who may come from immigrant parents, kids who don't have the ideal conditions for success, who've worked so hard, who've persevered, who have resilience and have been able to study and just foster their minds and their hearts into becoming good, decent human beings. These people don't have the same opportunities because on this side, these people were willing to break the law, and it's not for love. You don't break the law for your children for love. In fact, if you really love your children, you are the first ones to make sure that they are upstanding citizens, that they won't be a drain on the system, that they'll add value to the world, that they'll be good people, good role models. I'm really disappointed in the fact that people actually thought that they can buy their way to the top. What are you teaching your children? To cheat, to lie, to at any means, at any cost, you have to be number one. But these children who don't know downfalls, they don't know problems, they don't know aggravations, they don't know struggle, they will only live their lives on such a superficial level, and they will never find true happiness when you're living life only on the material, being beautiful, showing pictures where you're wearing these expensive dresses and your face and makeup are always beautiful, and in the filters and the followers. I know that at the end of the day, even people with this mentality of cheating and being number one at all costs, they will never truly be happy. They will never know the gratification that you get from earning something, from working hard and succeeding based on what you did and the trials and the tribulations that you went through to be able to achieve and be successful and grow from whatever it is that you've experienced. And so I think that real happiness comes from that freedom of knowing that you did a good job, you did your best, and that you didn't hurt anyone else in the process. That is the definition to me of happiness, living a happy life and being able to sleep at night. Thanks for watching. Please give this video a like. You can share it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. And if you have any ideas for future videos, leave a comment down below. Thank you.